there's a lot of talk about hybrid cars being the future of automotive, and then a lot of talk about hybrid cars being boring. Well, if you're the sorts that think a hybrid is boring, you need to drive this one. But keeping the tradition of unnecessarily long names, say hello to the Mercedes-AMG E53 Hybrid 4MATIC Plus. Fuel economy, saving you money, that's not what this is going to do. It's going to burn it, but burn it while making you smile. You just want to be on song with this one. It eggs you on, urges you. I've got to get serious. Just give me a few seconds. Okay. Some traffic. I'll just pop it out of Sport Plus into comfort. Now, that is the duality of the E53. The earlier one, we praised it for having that dual nature between comfort and performance. Well, this one is a bit more towards the performance side. Yes, it's still a 53, still gets a 3-liter straight 6 turbocharged petrol engine. However, this time it makes 585 horsepower and 750 Newton meters. That's 150 horsepower and I think around 230 Nm more. And you might think, wow, that's great. Yeah, but it is there to compensate for one thing, and that is the added weight. You see, the E53 is now a plug-in hybrid, a PHEV, which means under the boot floor is a bank of batteries.
A 28.6 kilowatt-hour battery pack with an electric-only range of 101 kilometers.
And I don't think that claim is too far off, because I've covered over 50 kilometers now and I still have around 55 kilometers of range. So yeah, it is pretty useful. And the great thing about that is that you can regenerate it using the brakes while coasting, so you never really run out of charge.
The E53 is only compatible with an AC wallbox charger and is based on a 400 volt architecture. Still, replenishing the battery from zero would take around 3 hours. But it's not like you were planning on getting in EV charger lines with an AMG, were you? A charger at your home or work or even both would be more than adequate.
We are talking about performance. Let's keep the hybrid bit for later. This engine is just superb. It is lovely, refined, creamy. Power is available throughout that wide power band. Revs about 6,500 RPM, but you get power from right around 1200 to 1300. It doesn't have any sort of lag or flat patches. One clean straight pull and this thing is rapid. The turbo kicks in. You've got the electric motor then helping. This is properly fast. Now, of course, it has drive modes as well. Right now, I'm in comfort, which is plenty fast. For everyday driving, you're not going to need more than that. And what comfort also gives you is, well, quite literally some comfort. The engine is subdued, it's refined, it's not shouty. The gearbox is a bit more lenient. However, you don't want that in an AMG, do you? I mean, come on, you bought this car for a reason. So you pop it into Sport or even Sport Plus. I think Sport is like that medium Coke, you never really go for it. You go for the large, and that's the Sport Plus. Pops up the exhaust. I mean, I want to get happy about the exhaust because it is a very nice sound, and yes, a lot of it is fed through the speakers. There's a subwoofer in the boot as well, so not the best, but it still is the actual sound of the car. And in a day and age where you have EVs just dominating, spaceship sounds, buzzes, I mean, you don't want that, do you? You want an actual sound in your performance car, because the audible experience is just so much more important. You lose that soul and character when you take out audio out of a car. And EVs are fast and all of that, but they don't feel exciting. And why is that? Because you can't really hear them. You can't hear them screaming. You can't hear them grunting. And you can't hear the pops and bangs for sure. So even though the exhaust isn't entirely authentic, I'd take that.
0 to 100 kph takes 4 seconds, but with the AMG Dynamic Pack, you also get Race Start, which is essentially launch control. And that allows for 612 horsepower to the engine, and 0 to 100 is just 3.8 seconds.
And then of course is the 9-speed automatic gearbox. Now this is a bit of a mixed bag. When you're at full pitch or when you're pushing the car, when you're really enjoying these lovely winding sections, it's great. It is on point, it's fast, it's responsive, and it just knows when to hold your gear, there we go, and when to shift up. However, at city speeds, slow speeds, crawling through traffic, it's like walking a Rottweiler. It's almost eager to just let loose every single time. As a result, you have these jerks and not that seamless gearbox experience. Of course, to counter that, you have the individual mode in the driver's setting, which means you can have the engine to your liking and you can have the gearbox a bit dialed down, so you don't have that ultra sharp response every time. But even then, a little bit more in terms of that response would have made a huge difference. Now 585 is a lot of horsepower even for a car this size. However, more than the overall dimensions, it is the weight. Because of that added battery pack and the extra harnesses and all the tech in this is quite heavy. And when I say heavy, I mean close to BMW M5 heavy, and that car has been heavily criticized for feeling bulky and massy, but it does get a proper V8, and because of emission norms, they've had to add a hybrid system. Now Merc has done the same thing, but instead of a V8, they've said, listen, the V8 is going to add more weight, keep it a straight 6, and just add the hybrid system, and let's, instead of outright power, focus on handling. And I think that was the best decision they would have taken, because it's not difficult to plonk in a V8, especially if you're AMG, but to make a car then handle well is a whole different story. It will do mighty well in the straights like this car does. It's rapid, 0 to 100, 4 seconds, as Mercedes claims, but show it a few bends and things start to make sense. That AMG dynamic pack is what comes into its own. You've got an AMG limited slip differential, you've got active engine mounts, and of course then the adaptive dampers that are super quick at realizing the change in road, the change in camber, and just adjusting and leveling the car. This is what BMW should have done with the M5. Give it the handling prowess. You know, all that power is great, but when you can't really put it down and enjoy, look at this. The grip and the stability. You've got that diff sending power to the inside wheel at the rear, and it just latches onto the road. It is a big car, I'm not gonna lie. It's not gonna shrink around you, it's not gonna feel agile and nimble, but what it is gonna feel is stable. Now all those electronics working might make you feel you're not really doing much, you know, you're not that involved in the whole act of driving, but for that you've got the manual mode for the gearbox. Hit that and it is all yours. You can control the gear shifts. The car will not upshift until you pull on that lovely metallic paddle shifter, and I think that is what gives it that additional character. You just know you're in control. Now while the suspension does complement the handling really well, it's not exactly perfect. Of course, it's an AMG, it's going to be stiff, and stiff it is. On this road, it's not a problem at all. It's lovely, well-paved, winding tarmac. But when you're in the city, in Mumbai or anywhere else in India, those bumpy patches are going to be felt inside the cabin. You just can't help it. A good thing Mercedes has done is given it 20-inch wheels. Now, they are still bigger than the 19 inches on the last-gen E53. But abroad, you get this car with 21 inches and really low-profile tires. That extra inch does make a difference. So you do have a bit of pliancy and cushion when you hit those bumps, but it's not like you're not going to feel them. If you're driving this car every day to work, you will be jittering about here and there. And then the other gripe I have are the brakes. Now this car gets regenerative braking for the battery, and the brake feel is the issue. It's not the stopping power, it has enough stopping power. I mean, it has a special composite on the brake disc as well. However, the feel at the pedal is just not natural and consistent. I mean, I've been trying to get it right all day, but it just has that spongy, sometimes wooden feeling. And it stops. The car slows down tremendously well, but you'd want some of that feedback to be a bit more natural.
Where it redeems some points is over the bumps.
It does not get a lift function unlike the older E53. However, you don't really need to crab crawl over some reasonable speed bumps. Over some really badly built speed bumps, yes, you will have to crab crawl, and that is where you will miss those extra inches provided by the lift system. However, these are just adaptive dampers, so you don't have the nose lift on this car. But in all my driving today, I haven't really had the need to use it. But yeah, you do flinch every time you see a bump because, I mean, it's an AMG, it's a low sedan. You're not used to driving sedans nowadays. So these bumps do feel a little bit nervous before you cross them. Now for the entire day today, I've only been in Sport Plus because why not? You have an AMG, you want to listen to the burbles, the pops and bangs. Even though it's from the speaker, you know, how does it matter? As long as it's not computer generated, some sci-fi, spaceship nonsense, I'm okay with it. But for the sake of this video, I will go into EL mode, which is fully electric. And now you can just waft along like it's an EV. There is no sound. Power delivery is nice and smooth. It's not neck snapping, so that's nice. However, when you're in EV and when everything goes silent is when you realize the road noise coming from these Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires is pretty unavoidable. You constantly have that drone in the background, but it's okay because I'd rather have a drone and a lot of grip than the other way around. You need nice grippy tires with a car like this with so much power and torque, so much weight, and that's what these tires get you. And in EL mode, it's not like the moment you press on the accelerator, it kicks up the engine. No, when you're in EL, it will give you as much power as you need. I'm doing 75, 80 kph now. Engine is completely shut off, 85, and it's no problem. You will not get engine interference as long as you have charge in the battery. And as long as you keep coasting and braking every once in a while, you will always keep on regenerating that charge. So really, really dual purpose and definitely usable. Now when you're in EL mode is when you can actually sit back, relax, and now is when I can actually appreciate the interior. It's not super AC, of course you get the nice old school red and black theme, lovely red seat belts on these black seats, and the seats are really comfortable. They're sporty seats, sport seats, but the support, the cushioning, the bolstering is absolutely spot on. It's not too hard, it's not too snug, it's just the right size. Of course, seat ventilation would have been an absolute plus point, but that's not there. You don't have seat massage either. You get seat kinetics, and that's about it. Lots of seat adjustment. You've got this chunky steering, which is lovely to hold, but I'm not a fan of this basic console. I mean, you have so much going on here, and yes, you do accidentally end up hitting some of these functions, and then the information changes. So it is a lot busy. This definitely not a fan of. Massive screen, very good resolution, but I need physical buttons. I will not stop complaining till I get physical buttons. Manufacturers are actually going back to buttons. I'm sure Mercedes have invested a lot into this super screen MBUX system, but at some point I'm sure even they'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. They'll bring back buttons like we wanted. You have some down here, but they're not really much of day-to-day use. You know, you want your AC controls, you want media, and you want all those things to be very nice and tactile. Like these two knobs here to change your drive modes, to change the gearbox setting, to change the exhaust, traction control. These are lovely. You have that satisfying click. Anything else, it's not there. Now on this car, you don't have the third passenger screen, the super screen, and instead you have this lovely open pore wood. Lots of open pore wood here on the center as well. And I like it. I like it instead of that shiny carbon fiber. You know, I don't really care for that too much. And definitely better than piano black. So this place, this whole space is actually quite nice.
In the rear, space isn't as generous as it is in the long wheelbase E-Class, but for what it is, there isn't much to complain about. There is enough legroom and headroom even for taller adults, along with manual sunblinds to keep the heat out and a panoramic sunroof. The rear AC vents miss out on individual controls, and the large center tunnel makes this a strict 4-seater. The boot isn't particularly large either. At 370 litres, it's 170 litres smaller than the standard E-Class as a result of the battery pack housed beneath the boot floor. You don't get a spare wheel either, and a good amount of space is taken up by the AC charging cable and puncture repair kit. However, if you do choose to carry a spare wheel, the boot does have mounting points to secure it in place. Expectedly, the E53 has put on quite a bit of muscle. The front bumper is sportier with large air dams. The Panamericana grille gets illuminated surrounds and is wide enough to gulp massive amounts of air to cool the engine, while the power lines on the bonnet add more intent to its character. The profile flaunts flared wheel arches, larger 20-inch wheels, and like before, a standard wheelbase, giving it sportier proportion than the long wheelbase E-Class. At the rear, there's an E53 badge with red highlights, a quad exhaust setup that isn't actually connected to the exhaust pipes, a diffuser, and a ducktail spoiler that's large enough to be noticed but won't do much for downforce. Overall, it's a handsome looking car with just the right amount of restraint. However, if you're looking for a bit more visual drama, you'll have to pay extra for the manufacturer paint finishes, as the standard color palette is more E-Class than AMG.
Alright, what's the verdict? Well, to be honest, this car is a bit in its own league right now. It's not as powerful as the M5, it's not as extreme as the M5, but then it's not as nimble and agile as an M4 either. You have the CLE 53, which is basically an M4 competitor. So this is in a bit of a speed spot on its own. I think until the RS5 comes, that would be an ideal rival. Now earlier the price was 1 crore and change. This time, of course, it's gonna go up because they've added a lot more features, a lot more power, a lot more performance, a lot more tech. But people would be asking one question, the difference between this and the E450. And to be honest, it is a massive difference. The E450 is more of an E-Class and this is more of an AMG. So it depends on what you want. If you really want to do those 5 days at work and the 2 weekends, then the E450 is your better choice, because those 5 days you're going to be lounging in the back. You want that extra bit of space, the leg room, and those 2 days at the end of the week you're going to want to be in the driver's seat and experience a bit of fun. This is for those who don't really care about the back seat. I mean, it is a decent back seat, but this is definitely a lot more driver focused. The engine, the performance, and most importantly, the handling. This is for someone who truly enjoys driving. And don't worry about the curb weight, because on paper, this thing is all wrong. It's heavy, it doesn't have all that much power, so it's not supposed to work. But because the focus has gone from just adding mindless horsepower to making it actually work in the corners, this thing is brilliant. It's just very, very nice to drive.
Fast, engaging, and surprisingly efficient, the new E53 Hybrid is one of the most complete performance sedans on sale today. More importantly, it proves electrification does not dilute the AMG experience, it just makes it a lot more usable.